The United States is our key ally. As a result of Donald Tusk's government's actions, Poland has not had an ambassador in Washington for over a year. Suddenly, the i.pl portal reported that the allegedly agreed candidate for the future ambassador is Jacek Najder, Poland's permanent representative to NATO. There is already a rather acceptable candidate. It is Ambassador Jacek Najder, a very experienced and wise diplomat. He has only one serious drawback. He does not know the United States, he has no contacts in Washington, and he will have to build his position from scratch. However, Jacek Najder does not have to start building his position because, as TV Republica has learned, nothing will come of this nomination. Our TV station's reports have been confirmed by the head of the President's International Policy Office, Marcin Przydacz. No such candidacy has been presented. This is purely a media rumour. I understand that this is being discussed based on something that came up in discussions between journalists or people not associated with the Polish administration. The government is pretending that there is no issue. The Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs is keeping quiet and remaining silent. I do not comment on information that is unofficial and appears on certain websites. Secondly, it is also a rule of this institution that personnel decisions are not commented on at all, but are announced. Why does President Nawrocki's office not want to agree to Jacek Najder? This is not known. However, we know very well that Jacek Najder was one of the architects of the reset with Russia in Donald Tusk's first government. We want dialogue with Russia as it is. Jacek Najder is involved in several shocking events. He was responsible for the misidentification of the body of President Kaczorowski, who died in the Smolensk crash. The fact that the tragic mistake had been made was clear to the government as early as 2010. However, the family and the public only found out about it 2 years later. Even these drastic stories related to the body swap are all things that the Russians actually tell the Poles in confidential conversations at various levels. One of Jacek Najder's tasks as Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs was to maintain contact with Vladimir Putin's close associate, Sergei Ryabkov, to whom he meticulously reported, among other things, on the deployment of American military equipment in Poland. With regard to the deployment of the American Patriot battery on Polish territory, the Russian side was informed about the schedule of its rotation, including next year, and about the tasks of the system, training soldiers, strengthening Polish air defense. The Russians were informed about our relations with the United States, for example, in the context of the deployment of a modern missile defense shield in Poland. When Donald Tusk, at the urging of Vladimir Putin, abandoned the deployment of this shield, Sergei Ryabkov congratulated Jacek Najder. We outlined the status of our talks with the US on the implementation of the EPAA and Poland's participation in it. S. Ryabkov admitted that Russia is satisfied with the abandonment of President George W. Bush's concept, especially the location of the interceptors. So, the government wanted to send to America a man who in the past had informed Imperial Russia about cooperation between Warsaw and Washington. Mr. Jacek Najder, who participated in contacts with the Russian side on behalf of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs during the reset, seems to be a person who is now discredited in the eyes of the American side. The people who built the reset with Putin's Russia are now back in favour. There are many more cases like Jacek Najder. Radosław Sikorski is head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Deputy Prime Minister Colonel Krzysztof Dusza became Deputy Head of the Military Counterintelligence Service, and Tomasz Siemoniak is responsible for the Secret Services, and this infamous litany is much longer. If today the people who signed it are responsible for it, they have returned. Well, unfortunately, if they remain in such positions, then we should not expect anything else but a return to the politics of subservience, civility, zero initiative in the interests of Poland, unless the partners from several European capitals agree to it. Interestingly, the information about Jacek Najder popped up like a rabbit out of a hat 2 days before Karol Nawrocki's meeting with Donald Trump. Experts interpret this as the government playing against the president. The attempt to appoint him as ambassador or nominate him based on the information we have at the moment is a kind of provocation by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs aimed at the president's office. Initially, the government wanted to appoint Bogdan Klich as ambassador to the United States, and he also had his say during the reset. Both Polish President Duda and President Nawrocki rejected his candidacy. Jacek Najder will not become ambassador either. Perhaps third time lucky. Only next time, the candidate for ambassador must be a guarantor of the Polish raison d'etat.